Next up is Shanmugam. He's quite popular already, I see. He's a hardware geek. He can be spotted anywhere engulfed in his Android or his laptop. He's an advocate of open source software and swears by Linux. If not currently engaged by a gadget that he's powered up, he would be either tearing it apart to figure out how it works or hacking it to make it faster, better, or more useful. Zealous about stargazing and classical music. Here we have Shanmugam.
Hey guys, I'll be talking about vintage electronics today, and hopefully I can convince all of you that vacuum tubes don't suck. Yes, pun intended. I'm pretty sure all of you are familiar with diodes and transistors. Diodes basically allow you to pass current in one direction, and transistors can amplify a small signal passed to it to a much larger amplitude. And the transistor has been touted as the 20th century's most important invention, and they're not just joking about it, because it's the building block of fundamental electronics, modern day electronics today. And these transistors did not just appear out of nowhere, you know. We had a reason for these, and they're so powerful because you can slam a few million of that like in a square centimeter. So what led to these transistors? Vacuum tubes. Transistors were created 66 years ago. These were created in 1905. That's almost 100 years. So these are really, really, really old. Why am I talking about this now? Because, well, I absolutely love vacuum tubes. And vacuum tubes are also known as valves, because initially the very first vacuum tube to be made was a diode, which was akin to a valve, a mechanical valve that allows water to travel in one direction. And that's, yes, Valve, which the gaming company, if anyone of you are familiar with. And this is a triode. It's known as a triode because it has 3 electrodes. It has anode, cathode, and a grid, and you pass a small signal to the grid, and you have a large current going from your anode to your cathode, and that is the vacuum inside. So that's a vacuum tube. And when it's powered up, I wouldn't suggest you all touch it because it gets very, very hot. The filament is going to be about 1,005 Kelvin, and you don't really want to touch the glass tube, which is going to get pretty hot. And that's one of the tubes, very first tubes that I built with. And so it sounds like it's useless, inefficient, and an implosion hazard because it's got a vacuum inside and it's going to implode anytime you drop it. Not quite. People actually love vacuum tubes, and it's a very, very niche people who actually play with vacuum tubes, and that's a vacuum tube amp, and you can go count the number of tubes in it for different frequencies, and look at it. Doesn't it look absolutely beautiful? Imagine you have this in your living room for music, and you can just see it every day. Yes, more vacuum tubes, and people go crazy with vacuum tubes. The problem with them is you have to replace them after like what, about 100 hours of listening to it. It doesn't last forever. They're pretty big, very hot, and not really very efficient. But they sound absolutely fantastic because they give you a really, really warm, rich sound. And once they're dead, you can use them to make steampunk, like jewelry. I wouldn't recommend you wear this around because if that thing implodes in your chest, I don't know who's going to be liable for that because it's not meant for that. Next, we'll be looking at Nixie tubes. And yes, as the name sounds like pixies, Pixie tube exists too, and I'll be touching on that later on. Nixie tubes aren't exactly vacuum tubes because they are gas-filled, they're low pressure, but I shall be talking about it for the sake of completion. You all have displays today. You're all familiar with these displays. A 7-sec display that you all see everywhere, and that's an LCD display, and your laptops are just an extension of that. So let's go back in time. We didn't have this, 30 years ago. We had these. And they might not be as colorful as what you're used to right now, but these look gorgeous. And then if it's completely dark, these glow and they look like incandescent lamps, and they have like numbers which are made of incandescent lamps. I mean, why wouldn't you want one of those in your living room, right? And that's the very first Nixie tube I made. I didn't make the tube, I made the driver for it. I'm playing around with it. And so Nixie tubes actually also need very high voltages. All right, let's move on to Pixie tubes now. When you Google for Pixie tubes on Google, you're going to find the one on the left. You might want to add circuits or electronics to find the one on the right. Pixie tubes are similar to Nixie tubes. It's just that they have a screen with numbers cut out. Someone made blitz chess from laser mat. So it's blitz chess because you can't really hold onto the piece too long. It's gonna burn your fingers. But yes, you can play chess with this, and it's stunning. And you have to play really fast because you don't want the tube to burn out while you're playing with it. And I wouldn't want to hit snooze with one of those because I'm building an alarm clock right now with Nixie tubes, and I want to wake up because if I hit the snooze, I'd probably sleep forever. And Steve Wozniak, the great Woz, he has a watch which has Nixie tubes as the display. And yes, if any one of you are willing, please buy me one of those. They're pretty expensive. And so today, I hopefully have kind of generated some interest with vacuum tubes. They are hot, they are electrifying, implosion hazard, anytime they're gonna just explode. They're absolutely beautiful, and if your circuitry is right, they will sound amazing. And thank you.